This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
So, Georgia as a territory, as we mentioned earlier, it's a place you sort of grew up on. You're watching the TV. It's a big network. It's a big opportunity. It's big exposure. The first time I can see, based on the records I see over at Cage Match, is April 3rd, 1983, and it's at the Omni. Did you start at the Omni? Is that your first shot with Georgia? Is that your first time meeting face to face with Ole, and that's when you become Arn and all that?
No, I think it was TV. We went down to do Atlanta TV. First time I broke out the fedora, which has survived the test of time as far as being hated, I think. No, we went down and we did TV, and I think we left for now every other week.
Time out, Arn. You're going kind of fast. Tell everybody listening, when you say went down and did TV, where is it?
Atlanta, in the studio, the old studio TV.
The stuff that everybody grew up watching on WTBS.
Yes.
Same studio, maybe a different look for Jim Crockett Promotions that people are familiar with later, but it's studio wrestling in the same spot. What was the street that was on? I forget.
Techwood.
There you go.
Techwood. Yeah. And it was the exact same studio. It had a little configuration. It might have held 100 people.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Also filmed on Saturday morning, just like it was in the Crockett era.
Filmed on Saturday morning. Yes, sir. So we met. We had, you named our opponents Brian Blair and Tito Santana. Was that right?
That's right. Yes, sir.
That's two pretty stout opponents to get a win. Now, I went from Marty Lundy losing every week, losing every night, to being this guy that was part of a team that beat those two guys. That's a pretty good launching pad.
Yeah.
And we left after that and went to the airport and flew to probably Columbus, Ohio.
I have here that you went to Huntington, West Virginia.
Okay.
So let's talk about the Omni, though, because I'm curious. You show up to TV, you meet Ole. Are you introduced to anybody else at TV that day in Georgia? Like
I introduced myself to a few people, whoever it would have been, whoever I ran across. That's what you did in those days. You shook their hand if you'd never met them and introduced yourself.
We as wrestling fans have heard about, Dusty having a desk at Jim Crockett Promotions, and we know about, Titan Towers and Vince McMahon's spread there. And we've also heard that, on a TV day, quote unquote, Vince or Bischoff or whoever would set themselves up a little office inside the building. Where did you meet Ole? Are you guys just sitting in the dressing room talking? Or are you tucked away in a broom closet? My understanding is over on Techwood Drive, you're really attached to some offices. Did y'all duck in a cubicle to talk, or just set the scene, paint the picture for us?
Well, no, Ole had a little office, but it was when you walked in, it wasn't a locker room. It wasn't anything like that. It was a bunch of desks set up for business.
Yeah.
And you would just grab one of those chairs that someone used for their office work during the week and open your bag up. And that's where, guys were scattered all over the place, but Ole had one little office where you could shut the door and have a private conversation. And that's where we met. And you would go in, there would be TV sheets, and the referees would go around and let guys know, hey, you're on third. You got X amount of minutes. Here's your opponent. And they did a lot of the organizing, as far as that goes, carrying the word. And if you had a question, you would go knock on Ole's door, and you go in, and that's who you talk to.
So when you show up and he names you Arn Anderson, do you have a time? Did you travel to town to TV with Matt Bourne? Did y'all meet each other when you got there? How does that happen?
Yeah, we met. Like I said, I came out of Rome. Matt had went in a couple of days and got a apartment which was furnished over by the airport where the wrestlers had stayed for years. It's called the Falcon's Rest. It was like a efficiency apartment, and that's where all the wrestlers lived. So you can imagine the parties that went on at that place. Nice pool area, furnished, all that shit, one-stop shopping.
So he comes into town, he gets set up, you meet him at the building. You get the vibe that maybe he's not tickled with this. He's your senior. He's been on the A side more than you have.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
He didn't have that attitude yet. We were good for a little while. There was a few weeks what kept passed before we had any inkling of that.
So we don't know, I don't know because I wasn't watching wrestling then. So I don't know, but I feel like a lot of times when guys in this era become tag teams, sometimes it's just two dudes and they're a tag team. Sometimes they want to look and present themselves as tag teams. Do you both commit to the deal and say we're both wearing fedoras, or we're going to wear this color tights, or here's our tag team, our double team maneuver, here's our finisher? Do you have things like that where you say, okay, we know we're a team, but what makes us a team? Does that type of conversation exist?
Not really. Matt showed up with blonde hair.
Yeah.
It was black. He wanted a fresh new look. It was that. And I thought, well, this hat is really a heat seeker. So I think I'll wear that. And him and Paul kind of looked at it. Paul went, hey, I like it. And I think Paul actually even wore a similar one for a short time. Matt had the blonde hair. We didn't have matching gear. That just didn't, that felt like a babyface deal.
Yeah.
Young babyface, dressed same way and all that stuff. So, I mean, everything went smooth. And, we landed, we flew to Columbus. We got a rent-a-car, which the office provided. We would usually fly in and out of Columbus. They had a deal because you could pick up the rent-a-car last day of the loop. No matter where you finished up, you drive back to Columbus. You had no drop charges. You're saving money for the company, obviously. That's the way they had it. They paid for the rent-a-cars, and you made the loop up through. And at that particular time, Ohio, Michigan, West Virginia, it was on fire. They were doing a tremendous business.
I'm gonna have to rein your ass in eventually here.
About?
I feel like we're running wide open. Tell me what it is when you go to the Omni, your first match, and you win. This is the I think you've referred to it before on our show as the Madison Square Garden of the South. This is where every super show was. And you're here beating Tito and beating Brian Blair with a new name. What the hell? The little kid in you had to feel like, is this real life?
Do you have a date when that happened?
Yeah. According to Cage Match, that's your first shot for Georgia Championship Wrestling. It's April 3rd, 1983.
Because I am almost positive, and if I'm totally wrong, then we did TV and then we had the Omni the next day.
No, here's the thing. I don't know that all the TVs are on there, but I do know that you did TV on April the 9th, and you and Matt teamed up to beat Mike Starbuck and Tony Zane.
Okay, we would have had to have had at least a TV or two under our belt before we did the Omni. Okay. No one would have known who we were. Irregardless of what the positioning was, my first time in the Omni as a wrestler, I'd been there a couple times as a fan. It was the Holy Grail.
Do you feel like you made it? Like, this is it, man?
I damn sure did. When the match was over and we were able to have a very good match, and I followed Matt's lead and those guys' lead, and those guys are incredible. Brian Blair and Tito, oh my God, what two great baby faces. And, you had Paul out there running interference. When that match was over and we got back through the curtain, for the first time, I actually said to myself, you know what? You belong. You're going to be able to do this. My knees were weak. That was the joy. That was my Madison Square Garden. And that never changed for me. It was dark. The people were loud. They were full. It was a full crowd. I don't know if it was sold out or not, but they were in the upper deck and loud. And it was, something about the arena being loud people in the audience are not concerned with raising hell and people looking at them because you can't see them.
Right.
So they're that much louder because they're undetectable. And it just made for a credible atmosphere.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.